So how bad was Zach Wilson's rookie season? What's happening, Jets fans? This is GreenBean back with another video. Today we're going to talk about somebody I've been digging into a little bit more. And now that we have the off season, we have time to nice and calmly deconstruct all of the statistics that have been accumulated and gathered by all the different media and statistical outlets, Pro Football Reference, PFF, all the places, right? Spot Track. We got everybody, and we can sit down calmly and look over this stuff and say, what the hell did I really see last year? Before we get into that, I want to just remind you quickly, if you would be so kind, go ahead and hit that little thumbs up button. That means you like the video. It lets YouTube know, hey, this guy's okay. People seem to like him. Let's show his video to more people, and it helps a great deal. If you haven't subscribed to the channel and you're into Jets content, I don't know what you're waiting for. This is about as good of a place to subscribe to as I can think of. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you'd like more exclusive content, a lot of access and private get-togethers with yours truly, you can join the Beanbaggers. And that is nice and easily done with the link I've placed in the top of the description that says Beanbaggers and Patreon. And again, as I say always, all of your support is greatly appreciated. I thank you. So we're going to talk about Zach Wilson a little bit today. Now, I've been spending some time kind of looking over our offensive line. Where did we improve? And how much of an impact is it going to have on this young quarterback? What the hell happened last year? Now, it's hard to remember weeks 1 and 2 and 3. They tend to drift off into a haze of sorts. And I want to just remind everybody what our rookie quarterback went through the opening portion of his NFL career, right? So he comes out and we play the Sam Darnold-led Carolina Panthers. Could they have done a better job with making it mean something for Jets fans, right? We have our former franchise quarterback, and now we have this new young kid that we replaced him with and all that sort of stuff. So the Carolina Panthers came out and blitzed Zach Wilson 11 times in that game while our offensive line was in complete disarray, right? We lost Becton that day. We moved George Fant from the right side over to replace Becton on the left side. We took Morgan Moses off the bench and put him in there. There was a lot going on, and they couldn't seem to pick up blitzes, stunts, anything that whole game. The Carolina Panthers smelled blood in the water, and they attacked him. Now, that netted them with 6 sacks. So Zach Wilson's first game of the year, first game of his career, he had 6 sacks among 16 pressures. So week 2, not really all that much better. They blitzed him 8 times, and he was sacked 4 times with 10 total pressures. Week 3, they blitzed him 12 times, 5 sacks, 17 total pressures. So when you look at Zach Wilson's first 4 games, he was blitzed 46 times. Now, why are they doing that? Why are they blitzing our cute little muffin? Why are they doing that to this guy? Well, they knew our offensive line was ill-equipped at the time to stop it. So we're going to win this game by just attacking the living hell out of this rookie quarterback. We're going to keep him uncomfortable. And it worked, right? We saw Zach Wilson have a very hard time in the early going of the season. We saw our moments. We saw the comeback in Carolina. The 4th game, game 4, was his first victory against the Tennessee Titans. And that was the game where he sent Corey Davis to the end zone and hauled it to him. So there was some good stuff in there, but when you just look at but when you look at what his experience was, trying to get an understanding of what he dealt with, the story behind the numbers. We try to get an understanding of the story behind the numbers. A lot of people just like to look at the box score. They just say, what happened? Oh, this, that means this. But there is more to it. Now, a lot of people say I'm looking for excuses. And I am. What are you going to do? But it's not so much excuses as it is the story. I like to know the real story. I do the same thing when playing other teams. Oh, this guy looks really good. He had X amount of yards last week. Well, what happened? Did the cornerback fall down 3 times? Was he playing a third stringer? All those kinds of things. I like to know that stuff so I can formulate my own ridiculous opinions accurately, okay? So Zach Wilson had 44 total sacks last year. He got his ass kicked last year. He was 3rd worst in the NFL, and that even includes the fact that he missed 4 games. So he was 3rd worst in the NFL with having 4 games out of the equation, right? So that's how many times he was sacked. That's how bad. Now, interestingly, PFF came out with a stat that said how many of those sacks were his fault. I just read an article a few minutes ago. I think it was posted back in February, but I just read it about Zach Wilson's lack of confidence in the scheme or the receivers, and he would hold the ball just a split second too long, and there was the sack. So they counted 17 of those 44 sacks as Zach Wilson's fault. Now, I looked at a couple of them. I didn't necessarily agree, but let's just say for argument's sake that it's all true. So 17 of those sacks were because Zach Wilson himself, and we could look at all the pressures and hurries that he avoided sacks. I wasn't able to find that number, but it's still, when you put it all together, it makes an interesting cake. Now, when you look at 44 sacks, I want to remind you that the last game of the season, we had 8 sacks against our little cute button. Okay, so 8 sacks in one game that was against Buffalo. Now, what was the story? If you just look at it, you say, oh my God, Zach Wilson, 8 sacks. But what's the story? The story was Dan Feeney was starting at center. We had, who was it starting at guard? We had Connor McDermott starting at tackle. Who was the guard? I think we had Ross Pierschbacher in there. So it was an interesting array of offensive linemen, and the result was 18 sacks. They actually blitzed him 11 times that game and had 16 total pressures. So the way I remember seeing it is during those pressures, when you look at 16 pressures and 8 sacks, that's Zach Wilson running for his life. We saw that numerous times last year. So there was a lot of this that's not being counted, that where he was directly responsible for avoiding the sack. It was 100% Zach Wilson. So we saw that stuff too. But when you remove that last game, 8 sacks to close the season, and we're talking about him being 3rd worst in the NFL for sacks. When you take out that last game with a makeshift offensive line, don't forget he was throwing to the Smith brothers and Tariq Black. Even Berrios was out that game, Elijah Moore, everybody was gone. So when you look at the story behind it, there's 8 sacks, but it's really it's an interesting scenario, right? So when you remove those 8 sacks, that brings him down to 36 stats, which would put him dead even with Justin Fields at 10th worst in the NFL, which is a different deal. Now, I'll tell you, too, that's 36 sacks. Right around 35 to 32 is like 8-9 guys. So it's right in that pocket. That's much more acceptable for a rookie year with this scenario when you remove those 8 sacks. Now, should we remove them? I don't know. But it's just... It's an extreme example. He started the season with 6 sacks. He ended the season with 8 sacks. And we saw Zach Wilson at the end of the year. He was much more calm, much more collected. Obviously removed all the turnovers. So he's pressured 16 times with 8 sacks and still didn't throw a pick. So we have to be able to find positive in that. Now, what does that lead us to think about Zach Wilson moving forward? Can he become the quarterback that we want him to be? Well, when Zach Wilson was drafted, guys, a lot of Jets fans went berserk. They started saying he's a hybrid between Mahomes and Rodgers, and we're getting the greatest quarterback of all time. Guys were saying 4,500 yards and 54 touchdowns. It went nuts. We remember, if you were one of them, it's okay. It's okay. But that's the expectation level that we had last year. The truth is that Zach Wilson played in a system that had a lot of gimmicky stuff, and they also had just almost zero pressure. The guy was able to hang out in the pocket and just kind of do what he wanted and picked apart less than stellar defenses. So guys like myself and some others, we talked about it, said, I don't know, I like him. I like his arm strength. I like this. I like that. I like the other thing. But guys, he's going to have a rough go transitioning to the NFL. I fully expected. Now, I didn't expect the dirt balls and all those kinds of things, missing screens, and that period of time that he happened. But the truth is I totally expected him to have a very rocky rookie season. All I wanted to see was progress, and I saw it. I saw the progress. So the Jets go out this year And they take this quarterback that more than likely they knew he was a prospect as well, not a finished product. We weren't getting a guy that was turnkey. They had a lot of work to do with him. And then you had the Greg Knapp stuff and the rookie stuff and rookie offensive coordinator, all that kind of thing. But when the Jets look at him, I tend to believe that they knew this is a prospect. This is a guy that we are tasked with developing. So how do we do that? Well, we just saw Zach Wilson come in for OTAs. He's 221 when at the end of the season he was playing at 208. So he's already put on the weight. He looks stronger. This is his second year in the offense. He made the world tour with his wide receivers. So the chemistry's being built, all those kinds of things. We're stacking positives on top of positives here. But then you take a look at what the Jets did for him. The offensive line. All right, let's say 17 of those sacks were because of Zach Wilson himself. Sure. Okay, we'll give it to you. Well, there's still a whole bunch of sacks that weren't his fault. And we have to mitigate that. We have to slow that down. So what did they do? They went out and got a fantastic Pro Bowl level guard to pair with their rookie phenom guard. I'm saying it, AVT. So we strengthened the offensive line. We strengthened the tight end position immeasurably, man. I mean, we haven't focused on the tight ends like this ever. That's my statement. I don't think we've ever put this level of focus on the tight end position, which is obviously going to help with protection, but even maybe more importantly, it's going to help with Zach having reliable outlets when he does get into trouble, in addition to fortifying the running game.
Brees Hall,
no!
running back.
Holy
shit! No way!
And then clearly, we improved the wide receiver room. We have Elijah Moore. We have Corey Davis. We still have Denzel Mims. We have Braxton Berrios, who we re-signed. And we drafted a first-round wide receiver in Garrett Wilson, who many believe is going to be the best receiver on the entire squad. I tend to lean Elijah Moore there, but it is what it is. I'll take either one. You know what I mean? I don't care. So when you look at that, we've addressed these issues, the pressure issue, the confidence in his receiver issue. Why wouldn't he have confidence? Well, he's got the most drops and catchable balls in the entire NFL. The most. So when you look at this stuff, there's a lot of reasoning why we saw what we saw, but all of it aside, it's about what we did to address it. And personally, I think there's a lot of foundation for a lot of hope for Zach Wilson, a lot of foundation for a lot of positive vibes where Zach Wilson is concerned. And I think that we should feel okay going into this season that Zach Wilson's going to have a 2-year jump, maybe not to the Super Bowl jump, but maybe he has that 2-year jump that leads us to the conclusion that we just might have our guy, maybe even 20 touchdowns. Oh, could you imagine? 20. Oh, that'd be nice. Anyway, let me know what you think. Are you down on Zach Wilson? Are you feeling good? Did what we saw last year, is it just too much for you to have confidence in Zach Wilson? Let me know in the comments. I'm curious to ask your thoughts. With that all said, have a great rest of the day, everybody, and go Jets.